Aotearoa, New Zealand, is marketed as a green paradise, but a different reality is buried in its mid-century industrial history. Between the 1940s and the 1980s, the timber industry used an estimated 6,000 tons of pentachlorophenol, or PCP, to treat wood nationwide. At mills in Whakatane and Kinleith, the chemicals entered the home. Workers were permitted to take PCP-drenched offcuts to use as firewood, and their work gear, soaked in toxic liquid, was often washed right alongside their children's clothing. Men like Joe Harawira and Kereyama Akuhata spent decades suffering from spinal bone disease and organ failure. Joe eventually died waiting for the government to acknowledge what was happening to him. Tracing nearly 9 decades of paperwork reveals a machine that knows precisely how to expand a list of protected diseases and precisely how to keep one specific poison off it. The structure of this denial was set in 1967. When Sir Owen Woodhouse designed the original ACC system, he deliberately excluded gradual industrial diseases to ensure the no-fault scheme remained affordable for the state. That choice was hardened by Section 317 of the Accident Compensation Act, a legal statute that permanently strips workers of their right to sue employers for damages. By removing the right to sue, the law forced workers to rely entirely on Schedule 2, the government's highly guarded list of approved occupational diseases. This system effectively immunized corporations like Carter Holt Harvey from liability. By the time the legal bar of Section 317 stops a lawsuit, the narrow criteria of Schedule 2 has already blocked the path to medical cover, leaving the worker with no remaining direction to turn. In a 2008 review, the panel added 24 new diseases. They recorded the Whakatane workers' names, then intentionally omitted PCP entirely. This happened despite the World Health Organization officially classifying PCP as a Group 1 carcinogen specifically linked to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. This is a comparison of the evidence the government chose to ignore. On one side, a study of 20,000 Canadian sawmill workers proves a clear dose-responsive link to lymphoma. On the other, a 2023 New Zealand panel dismissed the chemical in just 2 sentences, calling the exposure historical. In that same review, the panel used rigorous line-by-line reasoning to approve chemicals like asbestos and ammonia. Only the PCP evidence was left out of the public record. There is also a significant conflict of interest. Dr. Chris Walls, one of the experts who dismissed the exposure as historical in 2023, is very likely the same physician who co-authored the 1998 study proving the workers' symptoms were real. By 2025, the cabinet quietly cut the proposed Schedule 2 list down to 12 diseases. PCP was locked out once again, with no public explanation of which diseases were dropped or why. 88 years of decision points show a consistent pattern. The schedule grows for every industry except the one that took these men first. This government machine operates with surgical precision. In August 2026, the Human Rights Commission issued its ultimate verdict. The report officially named the government's inaction as a failure to recognize and redress the harm done to forestry workers. The Commission found that the barriers to compensation, specifically the exclusion from Schedule 2, raise serious questions about the Crown's obligations under Te Tiriti o Waitangi. This is the reality of Whakapapa. Harm does not expire with a legal statute. These dioxins persist in the soil and the waterways, carrying the consequences forward through generations. To achieve utu, or balance, the HRC is demanding a national inquiry, the full remediation of the land, and immediate compensation for the survivors still fighting for cover. We can no longer accept a strategy that relies on running out the clock on aging survivors. It is time to support the truth tellers and demand the accountability the system was designed to avoid.